Okay. Gary, 1-1. Disappointing end to the season. Did today's result sort of sum up the last week, which has been a very difficult week for you?
No, not really. I knew that'd be a job to pick the players up, but the players have got a responsibility when they cross line. There's 865 people here, to do things properly. And I've just said I've learnt more about the players in the last game and a half than what I have for the other 38 probably. Some of the players obviously don't want to be here enough. Like I say, I've learned a lot about the players in the last game and a half, and that's unacceptable. And I can only apologise because that's simply ain't good enough. I don't want to put my name to that performance, but I have to. I pick the team. They're my players. The players have done well for us over the last 10 months, but when we really needed to kick on, i.e. second half last week and today, to stay in the race, because you don't know what's going to happen this week, we've been found wanting. That's disappointing. Like I say, I'm disappointed this week. The players were disappointed last week. That's their fault this week. That was unacceptable.
I know you said it would be a difficult job picking the players up, but did you actually expect them to, go out on a little bit of a high today?
Well, I wanted them to go out on a high, but how can you explain, the amount of times we give the ball away uncontested? We was, that was going from blue to yellow to blue to yellow to blue to yellow. That must have happened, I don't know, 70, 80 times in the first half. We've given the ball away probably 15, 20 times, uncontested. We're just passing the blue shirts. We weren't working hard enough when we lost the ball. We looked totally drained of confidence. And, play football, you're going to have highs and lows. And, we had a real low last week, and you've got to be able to pick yourself up and go again. All the good sides do it. And like I say, at the final sort of furlong, we've found wanting over the last game and a half. No, I mean, I'm disappointed. I can't be any more disappointed. I'm a Lynn supporter as well as Lynn manager, and we can keep talking about getting 100 odd points, but if we'd have got a draw today with a performance, we'd have hit the post, the bar, the keepers made saves, but that was just lacklustre in front of 865 people. I'm disappointed for them as I am for me.
You say that you were disappointed with how you played and you kept giving the ball away, and like you say, you don't want to put your name to it, but you're the manager. You made two changes at half time. Was that you sort of in a bit of a desperate attempt to try and fire him up? Did you rip into him at half time as well?
Yeah, of course I ripped into him at half time. And I put Hoosie and Jamie on as they're ball players. And I thought Hoosie, to be fair, he's probably the only one today who can come out with any sort of credit, because he went on the pitch and done exactly what was required to try and keep the ball moving, try and get on the ball. I know, he's not got, somebody either love him or hate him, but what the lad do is get the ball in times when the team's struggling. And I didn't have 6 or 7 more of him second half, because he do try and get on the ball. And I had players hiding up second half because they was too scared to make a mistake. And they're not the type of footballers I want at this football club.
So is that the thing that you find more difficult? Last week was obviously a setback and disappointing, but it's how they responded and sort of how flat, and like you say, people were shying away second half. I mean, I imagine that's quite hard for you to stand and watch.
Last week we got beat by a good side, and you can accept that we made 2 mistakes. We accept them, But what I won't accept is we curled over and died today. We went 1-0 up. We probably didn't deserve to go 1-0 up. Then we've hit the post, which that had probably been 2-0, but that had just painted over the cracks of what was a diabolical performance. That's the worst performance I've had at the football club since I've been here 2 years, and that's come at probably the worst time it could have come.
And you've got obviously your last league game next week away, and then you've got your cup final. Is it fair to say that there are certain players in that dressing room now who are playing for their futures?
There's players in there today who there's players in there I'm looking for. They were playing for the futures. After that today, Kingston's a good football club. There'll be players queuing up to come to this football club, and one or two of them, maybe more, are going to be disappointed this summer.
And I know obviously you've drawn today, and Buckley have won. I mean, in your eyes, is that pretty much over now?
Yeah, I mean, that was always going to be difficult for us anyway, but we wanted, we needed to keep the pressure on them. They've got a tough game at Coggano. They've got a game next week against Blackstones, although I wouldn't be having much hope out of that after in the week. They do owe on my mind, but that's, like I say, that's just bitterly disappointing that we couldn't take it to the final week, and it's an anti-climax to what had been an all-right season. This time last week at half-time we was looking like being champions. Now it's been taken away, and the players although they had a big setback, although we trained them and picked them up, and they've got a responsibility to the football club and to themselves to go out there and give a shift. And if you give a shift and get beat, then you have to sometimes take it on the chin. But that's unacceptable. With the ball, without the ball, the defending sometimes was, weren't great. We did make 1 or 2 changes. Stuart Wall was injured, so we made a change. Ashley Deeney had a rest because he was really low on confidence from last week in training. He was beating himself up. So, we made the changes, and Stuart Wall can't make that much difference to the team. I know we've got players. We thought we had a squad here that was good enough to go on and win the league, and unfortunately we haven't.
I mean, obviously you said you're angry at half time, but I mean, are you sort of a bit more flat about how it's all ended, and it's sort of just?
Well, yeah, I'm flat because that's disappointing because like I say, there was a good crowd here today, and we wanted to go out on a high, whether we win the league or whether we don't. We wanted to finish on 108 points. We can now only finish on 106, which that is when you look back in June, July and reflect, 106 points is not a bad total, but we've left points out there this season that could have helped us win the league. I think we left, we certainly left one or three last week. We left 2 against Sleaford, we left 2 against Desborough today, and even the Boston 2. We've left a lot of points out on the board this year, and we have gained 1 or 2 with late goals, obviously, but that's over the course of a season. But to finish at home like that today is very, very disappointing.
How do you approach the next week now? I mean, will you look to make changes next Saturday? Or
there's only so many players I can make changes to. I just said to them, there'll be no one can come in next week if they're not in the team and have a complaint. Not one of them, because that was substandard by 11 players. Not just one. Not like I say, Hughes gone on and done what I've asked him to do. He's tried to get on the ball, but there's not one player in there who can come to me next week if they're not in the starting 11 and say to me, "Oh, Gaffer, why am I not playing?" Because I'll just tell them straight why they're not playing. But like I say, I'm not digging the players out. I'll try and be as honest as I can, and I'm just trying to be honest.
And has that definitely made your mind up who will be here next season, who won't?
I found out more about my players in the last game and a half than I have, for a lot of the season. You keep hoping that they're going to do something and pull something out the bag, and when it don't happen, you got passengers. So yeah, some people are going to be, when we sit down in the summer and think about the squad next year, there'll be definitely ins and outs.
I mean, obviously, the whole way the season's ended, especially in the league, is disappointing, but you've still got a cup final to play for, and since this club's been reformed, you haven't had a trophy yet. I mean, I suppose it's going to take a massive ask from yourself and your coaching staff to lift the players back up and sort of lift that feeling. I suppose you've got 2 games left now to try and salvage something over a season that's promised a lot and eventually in the league delivered a little. Well,
I think these players, all the supporters and the club a trophy. I think these players have been together nearly 2 years now. We've had some brilliant cup runs. We've had some great. We've had 2 good stabs at the league, but the trophy cabinet's still got nothing in it. So we'll try and win next week at Cog. I know, and players are going to be playing for the places for the cup final, because that's almost certainly a game. I feel we need to win now. The game that we want to win, we want to have some silverware this year. Obviously, I wanted 108 points. I now want 106 points. I don't want to finish on 103 points. So, we'll train twice this week. If I could have them in every night, I would, but I can't. So we'll train twice this week, and we're going to work with these players now till the end of the season. I hope they produce. They've produced a number of times for us over the last 2 years, and some of them have let themselves down, and that's the disappointing thing. We just wanted to take it in the last week. And
for you personally, does this rate as more disappointing than last season, considering how far you were ahead a couple of weeks ago?
Well, I don't want to be obviously disrespectful to any other teams, but last year I thought we run into a real good side, and I think Long Buckby are a tremendous UCL side. I honestly do. I think they got a good spine through the middle of the pitch, and but I felt we was as good as Long Buckby this year. Although they beat us twice, and although by a narrow goal both times, and although we didn't play well the last 20 minutes at Long Buckby, I felt I really felt this year we had the tools to go on and win the league. And after 20 minutes last week, that looked likely, and like I say, we've just had a massive fall from grace in the last game and a half.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.